Having a good striker in FM can really make the world of difference to your team, but sometimes you'll sign a player that looks like he should be good and he just doesn't perform in the in-game engine. Don't worry though, that won't happen to you anymore, because in today's video we're going to show you some of the best meta strikers that you can buy after the winter update. But what do we mean by meta? Well, a very good example and probably the best is Erling Haaland. Now don't worry, the picks in this video aren't going to be anywhere near as obvious as Erling Haaland, but what we're looking for are players that have a very similar skill set when it comes to their physical ability, which tends to really dominate in this year's in-game engine. If you've got someone that's quick, they'll do well. If you've got someone that's strong, they'll also do great, and if they're tall, even better. But people like Haaland, who are a combination of all three, are extremely deadly, even if they didn't have great finishing. Obviously, Haaland does have great finishing, but even if that was pretty low, he would still score tons of goals because of those physical attributes. So that's what we're going to look for today. Before we get into the video though, just a few things to point out. Firstly, you'll see in a second I changed my outfit. That's because I'm having to re-record this intro because the camera didn't focus last time. So if you see that I'm wearing something different, that is why. Also, if you do enjoy this video or you just want to help us out, make sure you do smash that like button and subscribe for the daily Football Manager content that we have here on the channel. And finally, comment down below your favourite strikers of FM24 so far. One, it will give people watching more players to pick from, and two, we'll actually use some of the names you've given us in future videos. In fact, some of the strikers from this list coming up were suggested by you guys. And the first player today is one of your suggestions. It's Ivan Azon of Real Zaragoza out in Spain, who is one of the cheapest in this list, but also one of the youngest, and that's reflected in his attributes. Now, all of these players are being shown after the winter update, and actually, the vast majority of them have been improved in said update, so make sure you check them out now, even if you think you might have seen them previously. But yes, Ivan Azon is an absolute star of a striker. Now, he might not be as fully formed as some of the other players in this list, but only being 20, he's got a lot of time yet to really reach that potential. Again, he is very cheap, £1 million or so will net you the 20-year-old forward, and he's got exactly what we were looking for earlier when we checked out Erling Haaland. Yes, he isn't maybe the most standout striker in any particular attribute, but he's good in the air, he's fairly quick, and he's also fairly strong. If you combine all of that together, you're going to have a player who's a real handful for defenders, and if you combine that with the fact he's actually got really good work rate, bravery, anticipation, composure, and even finishing and heading ability, this guy is the real deal. To be able to pick him up for around 1 million is one of the bargains of this whole video, so make sure you check him out. Whether you're a lower down team or even if you're one of the best teams in the world, he could be a great signing for the future. Unlike our previous player who was a youngster, this guy is about to head into his prime. It's Pedro, the 26-year-old Brazilian international who can be signed from FLA in the Brazilian leagues for only about £15 million, which is a real bargain. Once again, he's a very complete striker and could even play in that very specialised complete forward role. He's decent in the air, fairly quick and pretty strong. He's wanted here already by some pretty huge clubs, and there's a reason why, because outside of these strong physical attributes, he's really good mentally as well, and technically he is gifted with 15 finishing, 17 first touch and 16 penalty taking, combined with great technique and just general on the ball ability. Pedro is a real top level forward, could play at the highest of levels, already is in the Brazilian leagues, but maybe it's time for him to move to Europe. A player that had a huge boost in the winter update is Grassi of Stuttgart, who's been unbelievable recently for the German side. He's a great finisher who's fantastic physically, great mentally as well. As you can see on screen, every attribute he needs to have, he has got it at a high level. Now, he's only going to cost you 17 million, which is a bargain, but it is thanks to a release clause that expires in 2025. So if you want this guy, go ahead, sign him. Like I say, boosted after the winter update, and is now one of the most elite strikers in the game. He's an international for Guinea as well. If you're going to spend 17 million pounds on a striker, this is probably the best way to spend it. He's in his prime, he's going to score you goals straight away. I've actually signed him myself in one of my saves and sold him on after 2 years at the age of 29-30 for around 60 million to Saudi Arabia. So he's got resale value as well because he is just so good. So make sure you check him out. But speaking of my channel, before we see the last 10 players in this list, if you want to come and check that channel out, you can find it linked in the description of today's video. Over there, I do more Football Manager content. We do 5-year rebuilds with clubs where we take over as manager of a side that's struggling and give give ourselves 5 years to turn their fortunes around. A lot of you guys have came over and really enjoyed those videos, so if that sounds like it's up your street, make sure you do come and check it out once this video is done. So thank you to anyone who does that, and let's get back to our list. And up next, we have a player that perfectly epitomizes what we're looking for in this video. He's only going to cost you 3 or 4 million from the German divisions, but 28-year-old David Selke is a fantastic striker for a few reasons. Yes, you might look at his finishing and go, well, he's only got 12 finishing, he can't be any good. Well, yes, he can. That finishing is more than enough to score goals, combined with the fact that he's got 16 heading ability, and then he's got exceptional speed, jumping reach and strength, brilliant aggression, bravery, teamwork, work rate, even determination. He's got attributes of the highest level. The fact that this guy isn't a more recognised name is crazy to me because he is so good. I think the fact that he's 28 years of age might put a few people off, but he was suggested by one of you guys in the comments of a previous video. I checked him out and I thought, you know what, he has to be in this list. The comment mentioned that he had scored something like 20 goals in 28 games for this guy's team, so he's obviously a very good striker and one to check out in your save. And we're going to look at the 2 most expensive players in this video now, both of which play for the same team and both of which are competing for the same position. Whilst he hasn't been great in real life recently, CalvertLewin has got fantastic attributes in Football Manager, and if you've played the game over recent years, you'll know he ends up being one of the top goal scorers in the Premier League pretty much every single time. But this year specifically, he's usually available as a free agent only a few years into your save after that contract expires in 2025. If he hasn't moved from Everton, that's a perfect time to get him, or at least see if you can get him on a cut price deal in that last year of his contract. He could play for the best team in the Prem and score 30, 35 goals in an FM world. In real life, probably not, but in Football Manager, he is unbelievably good. But his competition in that Everton side is Beto, who's also a phenomenal player. I've had him in my own saves previously and sold him on for huge profits. He is a fantastic forward option, 25 years of age, valued at about 30 million, kind of came out of nowhere, was playing in the real low divisions of Portugal, made his way up through the leagues, into the Serie A with Udinese where he really started to score goals, and then he got his big money move to Everton. In real life it definitely hasn't worked out for him, but he is quick, he is strong, and he is tall, which makes him deadly in Football Manager, combined with the fact he's great in the air when he actually gets his head on that ball, and he's a great finisher too. Beto is a great forward option, as is this man, Jorgen Strandlin, who again fits all 3 things that we're looking for of being quick, good in the air and strong. The combination of that makes him a nightmare for any defender that he's up against. He's wanted by Premier League sides here, and the Norwegian playing for Celta Vigo out in Spain is a great signing for about 18 million. You'd be getting a Premier League ready striker who is phenomenal in all the physical attributes, but also really strong mentally and technically too. The big 3 of dribbling, finishing and first touch he has got nailed down. He's a good passer with nice vision, technique and work rate. He's got good flair as well if that's something you're looking for. A very good forward option for only about 20 million quid, and at the age of 23 he's not even at his prime yet, so he's got a few years to get better than what you're seeing here, which is definitely worthwhile for such a small fee. Now I've seen this guy play in real life quite a few times. Vangelis Pavlidis of AZ Alkmaar, they're a team I follow in the Eredivisie, and Pavlidis is phenomenal for them and has been for the last couple of seasons. That's led to him getting an increase in his attributes in Football Manager. Now he does lack a little bit in the pace department, but does have that strength, that jumping reach and really good ability all round. A good presser who's a fantastic finisher. As a striker, there isn't too much wrong with him, particularly when you think you can pick him up for about 20 million. 24 years of age, not quite in his prime, with room to get better. The Greek international is wanted by some of the heavy hitters of world football, and they want him as one of their main men. He's tore it up in the Eredivisie. It's time to head into one of the top 5 European leagues. Pavlidis could be a great signing for your save. Heading into our final 5 players now, and one of my favourites in this whole list is this man, Semih Kılıçsoy. He's the second youngest player I want to say in this list that we're looking at today, and the Turkish national is a phenomenal prospect with great ability straight away. After the winter update, he received an increase in his ability, and he's supposedly already a regular starter for one of Turkey's biggest sides. He's got great finishing, dribbling and first touch ability, but it's when you get to the physical attributes that he becomes becomes very dangerous because yes, he is maybe not the best in the air, but he is strong and he is really quick already. The pace is less than his acceleration, but he is only 17, and if you don't know in Football Manager, the ages of 17, 16, 18, you will see some big improvements in a player's physical ability. So don't sign him straight away if you don't want to, but scout him say 1 or 2 years in and you'll see for about 15 million you can pick up one of the best forwards in the world at that point. Genuinely, after a little bit of growth, this guy can be world class. He's got a potential rating, I think maximum of 170, lowest of 140. So worst case scenario, you're going to get a good Premier League striker. On the best case, you're going to get one of the world's best at full growth. A bit of a wild card pick here because this player isn't one that I necessarily would have chose, but we actually got 2 comments about him in our last Meta Strikers video, so I wanted to include him today. This is Tommy Conway of Bristol City in the Championship of England. Yes, he might not look world class straight away, but he is only 20 and he's got a lot of room to get better. But the reason that I think he is so good in game is yes, he's got great finishing, and you might look at his physicals and think, well, he's not quite there just yet, and I will admit he's not as good as some of the others, but he has the player trait of tries to beat offside trap. Now, if you've got someone who's got a little bit of pace about them, as well as having good anticipation and decision making, when they try and beat the offside trap, if it works, they can score so many goals. This is one of the traits that really helps in this year's game. The fact that he's also really good in the air definitely helps him with 13 jumping reach and 14 heading, but he could really be a monster forward with a little bit of development. Being in the Championship, he's not the world's most expensive, so he's definitely one to take a look at if you're after a striker of that kind of level. Another player massively boosted in the winter update was this guy, Dominic of Augsburg in the Bundesliga. The 25-year-old Bosnian might have a pretty poor record internationally, but this season for Augsburg he's been very, very good, and it's led to an increase in game. Is he really exceptional in one particular area? Natural fitness, yes, but everywhere else not quite. But don't worry, because he is perfectly balanced. There's no real weakness to his game, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Mentally, he is phenomenal, probably the best we've seen in this video, with great off the ball work, aggression, bravery, anticipation, composure, work rate and teamwork, combined with really good finishing, heading ability, passing, penalties, technique. This guy is a great striker at 25, just about to head into his prime. For £10 million or so, you could see why the likes of West Ham are interested in him. Our penultimate player on this list though is our youngest one. It's Elneny of Antwerp, and the Frenchman is someone I've dedicated a whole video to in the last couple of weeks in a Wonderkids to Superstar episode, just to show you how good this guy can get, because his attributes already look great and he's only 16. The £20 million forward signed recently from the French divisions, and since the winter update he is just so good. Physically he's got everything that he needs, and again 16, 17, 18, those kind of years you're going to see some massive improvements physically, and by the time he is fully grown you'll be seeing greens in pretty much every area in that physical department. He's also got great technical attributes like first touch finishing and dribbling. They're at levels players of the age of 25, 26 could only dream of having, and he's only 16. So give him a bit of game time, let him grow, and he is going to be one of the world's best forwards. And that could also potentially happen for our final player today, Nigerian national Gift Orban. Recently signed from Lyon from the Belgian divisions, he was electric for Ghent when he was over there. Now he's got his chance in the French divisions, and it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. He's a great finisher with brilliant dribbling and first touch ability. Valued at about 10 million, only 20 years of age. He's definitely one to scout, see how he gets on at Lyon, and you might be able to pick him up for a bargain fee. Physically, he's got the strength, he's got the acceleration, the pace and the jumping reach could do with some work, but they're at good levels still. He's got a lot of improvement to make yet before he reaches his prime though, so don't worry, you're going to see a very good player at full growth. Gift Orban is a fantastic striker this year, and there you go. There's a bunch of meta strikers for you to sign in your save, and if you give these guys a go, I'm sure you'll get some great results. Let me know who we missed out in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.